I did find some mushrooms.
I was just gonna say.
You
find
did?
some mushrooms?
Yeah,
Oh, I
Probably
gotta
right
get
in your
out
lawn.
today then.
it was.
Isn't that the way?
I actually mowed it over a couple of weeks
Oh,
before I
no.
realized it.
Did you eat them all already?
Nope, not all of them. First batch last night.
You must have found a good amount.
That's, you know, you'll go out and walk and.
Little gray.
I love those.
They're-
Those are
they have
the
good
They're
flavor.
actually the better.
Best
ones.
flavor. Yeah, walk and you come home and it's right there by the stump in your yard,
Yeah.
right in the middle.
Around the one tree and one around the whole.
Good ticks. Funny. No. I love
I had one so far.
Yeah.
They'll get a lot very county.
Really?
We got some like on some land.
Oh.
It's all the grass, CRP.
Thick this year.
They're really bad this year.
Little, the deer ticks, you know, the little ones.
And I gotta get out and find some mushrooms too.
It's all about giving them the space where they belong in the world of agriculture.
Possible to eat like 600 ticks a year. Picking them off. from the
Yeah.
zone. Possums are good for something.
Last trap with Possum at our house, cause I want him.
Tick tag.
That's 2 weeks.
Is about today.
No.
Yeah.
The key counties gonna open investigation of their EMS.
That's late.
Yeah, I heard that on the radio. It's
State audit is coming in. And something.
He feels like that, all my legislative changes, so.
Hey Steve, do you have any takers? Have any takers?
How did the open, oh, you can report it later.
Crickets.
It's too bad.
No. Kurt was out there. Kurt was out. Maybe not. And probably Mark said, and probably his partner.
See what happens.
That's right.
Did you bring plans back to?
No, I left them up there in case somebody.
Oh, they're, yeah.
If somebody has to see this week, we pick them up. They're just sitting there on that.
I was gonna say it'd be nice if they were there.
Sunshine, 70 degrees. Be nice.
That music was good.
It's awesome. We're gonna go see him in Rochester for the Bob Dylan.
What was it one?
Several different people do
Wow,
Bob
that's
Dylan covers. Yeah.
That is sick.
I'll show you the,
Hopefully Tony doesn't. He's just been there too. That's too nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'm like, yeah.
I don't know what's really happened to the. it's like more action or something.
Give it money.
Just make the grass. That was.
And most.
Forty to 50 in the morning. That
That
would be beautiful yesterday.
Oh,
Seven.
Those are great. They set out there on farms.
And almost.
Drink, I think, probably.
listening to all the sounds.
Because the business. There's not so many agreements that have work.
state of Iowa in our yard.
Take the chocolate.
I don't got a wall.
Mhm.
My gosh, I've seen.
It takes 2 1/4 bodies and some.
Then it's for the thistle seed, they go with sunflower seed.
Nobody could.
What?
Large cheese.
Oh, it's just living on it. Purple ones and yellow.
The loaves of bread. Well, for the
There were
cut.
6 yellow males, 2 red males.
So I think I
and
just think those. Make some next year.
Yeah.
At the top of the
Yeah, our bird feeder's about half down, I noticed yesterday.
Yeah, they just love them as sunflower seed. They
Yeah.
know it.
That's a good.
Feeder out when I lived in Virginia, they had a bear that come up and down. And he
Just
shredded,
went that once a month.
you wanted to see.
We used to
This
do
whole
indoor ones, so
probably 10 feet away from
content stuff. Short. bread.
one land on there. It's gone.
And again, everyone.
Budge?
No,
No.
and I want to sit down.
9:30, all those that so choose, please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll call the meeting to order with everyone present. As a reminder, the meeting is being recorded. If you choose not to be recorded, you have the option of leaving. First item on the agenda this morning, John Vagts, Winn County Opioid Taskforce Funding Proposal. Morning, John.
Morning. If you guys want me to stay.
Right up here.
Sorry. Thank you for,
Chairs up too, if you'd like.
meeting with us. So my name is John Vagts. I'm a co-chair of the opioid, Winneshiek County Task Force. Kind of a task force together to kind of find ways to utilize the, settlement funds, that the county has received. And so over the past year, the task force has, done a survey and kind of been, working on ways, to utilize those funds. So that survey went out to all of Winneshiek County. Members had a chance to, express what they were wanting to kind of see. And so then the task force has been working on finding some of those things that align with what the county had wanted. And so we do have a proposal today. Jen Pearson with UCS is going to kind of speak more about that, and Chris as well.
I'm Chris Webker with the detective with the Winneshiek County Sheriff's Office here. And just to kind of give you more background on that board. It includes community members, it includes local organizations like Helping Services, and then law enforcement with the sheriff and myself, and then elsewhere to kind of determine where these funds should be spent and expended throughout the time as we're getting them in. And so by doing that, we're able to, you guys are the ones that ultimately get to make the decision, but we're gonna make a recommendation today. And so this one is definitely dear and near to my heart because it actually works. I've seen it firsthand, being detective and working through cases. We've utilized this and made referrals to them. And so it's something that really helps local law enforcement to be able to have an actual resource to go that we know works. And so I'll let her talk about the programming that's involved with it.
Hi, I'm Jen Pearson, and I'm here to talk to you about UCS Healthcare. UCS Healthcare is a nonprofit opioid treatment program, specially licensed to do opioid treatment. And we've actually been providing that service here in Decorah for the last 5 years. Maybe some of you don't know that, so I'm glad that I'm here today to talk to you about it. What does it mean to be a specially licensed opioid treatment program? It means that we can provide medications, FDA-approved medications, to people with, to people with opioid addiction, and that helps them with their withdrawal symptoms and their cravings, which ultimately helps them to stop using the drugs. When people stop using the drugs, there's no risk of overdose and dying. There's less risk that they'll go out and commit crimes involving their addiction. There's less hospitalizations because they're on the treatment that we provide. People can get back to their lives and go back to work and take care of their kids and be there for their family members more consistently. And ultimately, they can become more healthy. So that's the treatment that we provide. And one of the challenges that we're finding treating a smaller population community like Decorah is that it's hard to find the amount of patients that we need to sustain the operations financially. So over the last 5 years, we have covered losses that have come from this location's services. But that's just getting harder and harder to do every year. And that's why I'm here today to humbly ask for your consideration in potentially providing some opioid settlement dollars to helping us sustain the operations here in Decorah. If we are unable to sustain those operations and have to close this location, that means that the people that we're currently treating and people that are actively looking to access services like ours will have to drive somewhere around an hour one way to get the services. And sometimes that might be daily for some time, which is obviously very disruptive to people's lives. And so I'm just hoping that you'll see the great work that we're doing and the treatment and support that we're providing the community and consider spending some opioid settlement dollars to help us sustain.
In full disclosure, when it came to the board, I asked for more money and was shot down. And so it was the collective group that came up with a number that we're going to propose to you today. And I'll let John kind of talk about that.
Yeah, so the funds and things there are, we did ask UCS kind of for some stipulations. So some of those funds are going to their cost to cover salary and different things like that. And then some of those funds are going to outreach. So they can work on getting the amount of clients that they need to be sustainable. So outreach, just letting the different communities and stuff know, and people know that this is an option and it is local. And so part of that was kind of in the stipulation for these funds. And then they would report back quarterly on kind of how things are going and where numbers are at and stuff. So we can kind of look at those and see how things are going.
You guys have any questions?
Where's your local facility?
We are inside Northeast Iowa Behavioral Health here in Decorah. So we've partnered with local behavioral health organizations to provide this very specific service to their patients. So they come in, get assessed at Northeast Iowa, and if they have an opioid addiction, then they're referred to us to provide the medication. So it's partnered with counseling and therapy that's so needed in conjunction with the medications, which is absolutely the gold standard for treating opioid addiction.
What's your track record in a general sense of you have a new client that comes in of recidivism versus putting them back on a straight track of life?
Sure. So it's a little bit hard to track some of that, but we have served around 40 patients here in this location successfully. So that means that they've either successfully discharged from the facility or they're still currently active in receiving treatment. And so I think that the success you can see right there, I know that the numbers are small, but that's 40 lives saved here in this community.
I think part of Steve's question, you haven't had any of those 40 end up back in the program.
Cycling through again.
That's what you're saying.
Oh, yeah. So there can be reoccurrence with any addiction. There's going to be chance for relapse and coming back. But luckily we have the services here to be able to admit people back in, and they don't have to travel. It's more likely that they're going to come to a place that is right here local, and instead of thinking about having to make that drive to get back into treatment.
It's a tough one to measure, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And even in law enforcement and working with people with addictions and stuff like that, sometimes it takes several times for their eyes to be opened, and it just depends on the circumstances. So it's difficult to measure, just to be truthful.
I asked simply because I was involved with teaching some employment classes with a men's recovery 1-year program.
Sure.
And the recidivism rate was always a concern,
Yeah.
because it's a tough kick.
Yeah, I think it's worse if there's not some sort of resource available to people. So that's what I like to think about, is just the people that we have served here. I feel like they're most likely alive and in the position that they're in today because of the services that we were able to provide to them.
The biggest benefit for us is, like she was saying, and we had talked about this too, is I like the resource here locally. Because our population is a lot different than Des Moines. Our population is a lot different than Waterloo. You have one client that comes and goes fully through this program. It's not just that one client that it touches their entire family too. And we see that spread in law enforcement as well. And so having that resource for that one person, we're gonna see it firsthand in dealing with crisis and other things that are going on. And so the bigger cities, they don't get to see that as much compared to us when we get to see it firsthand.
I think the relationships and stuff that, we're kind of working on, and stuff too with UCS, if you see somebody that is struggling, we're able to refer them to Northeast Iowa Behavioral Health and then kind of work on that referral process to get them the treatment and stuff that they need. And it can happen relatively quickly, where some places it could be months and stuff for people to get it. And so, that's really great as well.
And that was one of our requests, is that we work with behavioral health, and if we have someone in crisis and law enforcement deals with them directly, we're able to make a referral and try and get them sped up in the process, at least meeting with them and stuff like that. It might not get fully into the program and stuff, but at least get them in the door and get them going if they're willing to do that. And so that was one of our hopes with this too. So.
And for the record, the request is 19,000.
Yes. Yep.
Will that be a yearly ongoing then, as long as the funds are there? Or?
So what we want to do is evaluate where things are at.
Yeah.
We kind of had those stipulations where we're kind of doing the quarterly and stuff. This is just a one-time request for the time being.
And again, the hope is, with some of the 19,000, I think there's about 4,000 for outreach and stuff, that they would get to the point where they could be self-sustaining.
Do you have any kind of a guess as to what the potential population is that realistically are in a crisis or approaching a crisis that we may have in this county? Because you probably, Chris, see an increase in some of our your calls, let's say, within your agency.
So we worked really close, or try to work really close with behavioral health as far as people in crisis and identifying those things. And we have other resources too. But if we know it's opioid directly related, we try and get them in. And so what percent, I'm terrible with numbers, so I'm not going to even speculate to tell you. But it's definitely up. We definitely have an increase of mental health calls and people in crisis on a regular basis that we deal with. And that's one of Dan's main pushes, is mental health and how we deal with it and what we're doing with it and how law enforcement is directly involved. If we can make that referral and get them to the right people, I can talk with people. I talk with people every day, but I'm not the person to talk with in these situations.
There are certainly people struggling in silence too. I mean, I'm sure that.
Yeah.
What you see is like even the amount of people that
Yeah.
need services.
I didn't even know about the service
Yeah.
here locally, so it's good that the outreach is gonna be one of the focuses,
Yeah.
because there could be a lot of other people who don't know that it's even available.
Yeah.
And our hope is that other counties see this too, because it serves counties around. And, our task force group is very proactive in identifying what's going on in Winneshiek and the best way to use these funds. And so our hope is that the services of these other counties too also jump on and help out with this in the future if needed, type of thing.
Because every county, or most counties have opioid funds that they could use.
Yeah.
Correct. 100%.
What do we have for funds?
I don't know the current balance. Do you remember, Shirley, the last time we?
69,000.
So it would come out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So move to
Just
accept
sitting
the
there.
grant, the proposal,
Say what?
move to accept.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to accept the request for $19,000. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
I,
Those opposed, motion carries unanimous.
thanks for your,
Thank you.
thanks for your
Thanks
work.
to all of you.
The only other funds in that settlement that we expended is we bought from Maaten for the sheriff.
Like 3 years.
And that had like 3 years help or something, so, if that, they don't use it, they may come and ask for more when that's expired.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, Michael Kueny, County Engineer. Things.
Before we start, I want to thank the committee for the support for that proposal. It really makes a difference for our county in the region.
That's what the funding is for.
Yeah, thank you.
Sad thing is, probably the majority of people needed coming forward. Well, and I don't even know about.
They don't even know about it. I didn't know they had that locally. I didn't know we had that here.
Just the outreach itself is a big deal.
Oh, here's Mike.
All right, I'll step through this. I had a little bit of a truncated week as I was recovering now from a cold.
Little.
As Mark scoots a little further away.
I'm well past incubation, it's just recovery. So for Winneshiek finalist, Winneshiek County is a finalist for the Bill Grant, W14 South of Fort Atkinson was the submitted project. There's nothing new this week. Railroad Flat Power Bridge Study Coordination, I didn't get around to it last week, but so there's nothing new this week. Same thing for the subdivision data. Maintenance activities for 2025 are still being coordinated. We're done rocking in District 4. There's more work in the northern half of the county this week. And then I sent the budget amendment, 2025 budget amendment, out 2 weeks ago. Last week, I just wanted to request it formally myself, so I'm asking for that a budget amendment to be passed.
I didn't bring a copy now, but he sent it out and we'll need to approve what he's submitted for the DOT so that it can be then included in your budget amendment. That we'll be setting the public hearing later this meeting, so then you'll be not approving it then at the county level till the end of the month. Yep, the DOT version needs to be approved today, so it can be included with ours.
I'll motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion is second to approve the FY25 budget amendment. Any further discussion? None. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
As part of that process, I will have to update the 5-year program, and I have done that. That includes, the only thing changing that is it includes the Nestle Valley project as part of an actual construction project in our budget. So that is in next week, I will request a similar request for the certified 5-year plan. So that will be on the agenda next week. And that has already been approved by DOT on Friday. So this week, the scoop position and bridge crew position interviews were
Excuse me, do you want to just include approval of that with this motion and be done with it? If the only change is the one thing.
That was the only change. I just haven't got it to you guys ahead of time is the thing. I don't know if I needed to. That's the reason why I'm hesitant to do that.
Okay, and I will need, I think the amendment, do you have a copy of it?
I-
Budget, because I think.
I don't have a copy. I thought I printed it out, but it just says the original. So
Yeah, and I think I have a copy. I didn't bring it, but Dan will need to sign it. So if you wanna
I will,
bring it over or
Yep.
something after you're done or something.
yes,
Sounds good. Go ahead, proceed. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
that's just fine.
We need to amend that and add that into this.
We'll do that next week. He said the 5-year part, but the amendment, well, he'll bring it back and have Dan sign it after we're done here.
The scoop position and bridge crew position interviews were hosted on Wednesday and Thursday last week. I recommend hiring John Budsteiner for the bridge crew and Alex Kennan as scoop operator. It's an operator 2 position. I recommend those hires.
Someone want to take action on
I'd
it?
move to approve the 2 hires.
Second.
And what we usually would do is to have they accepted the position.
Have accepted.
So we're approving pending their pre-employment
They have
exam.
gone through screening as
Okay.
of Friday.
Then yes,
so,
we could do
yes.
the full thing. Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Hiring of John Bodensteiner and Alex Kennan. Is there any further discussion? None, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Shirley or Mark?
I second.
Sign-man position and consideration was asked during the time of the interviewees, the interviews, so that way, the people that we interviewed, are all wanting to be on board for the sign-man position if it becomes available. We had 4 excellent interviewees on Wednesday and Thursday of last week.
Were those external?
All of them were external, yes. No,
If they're union positions, that happens first before it even goes external. So like,
Yep.
yeah.
It's, well, we will have had this number, it's like 10, we're gonna have the last month and a half, 10 position changes. So it's just been on, it's been kind of a.
Easy, cheers.
Yeah.
exactly.
The SS4A grant meeting was held Monday, March 24th in the courthouse, in the jury room. The engineer will submit to the Board of Supervisors findings upon receiving the Center Safety Action Plan. There's nothing new this week. I did contact Kimley Horn, and they said it is forthcoming. So any day now. The jet appeal situation is being administered. The county attorney made alterations for the appeal attorney to approve on Friday afternoon. So we'll see what appeals lawyer, if everything is agreeable there.
And once we get to something both sides agree on at the attorney level, it'll have to come to the board for approval. And I know that there's at least one of the local people, the neighbors, that would like to know what's on there and may want to discuss that with you before your approval. So as soon as you know, and I can forward it out so they can see it ahead of time and she can see it ahead of time, then we aren't dragging it out if she shows up at a meeting and wants to be able to talk and so on.
It was some small changes that Andy had made that, I think it's a lawyer thing, so.
Yeah.
Nesty Valley construction has begun. Silt fence installation occurred last week. They're moving some dirt from east to the west for the campgrounds site. The new 2025 certified 5-year plan amendment has been approved by DOT to add Nesty Valley as a project. And it will need approval next week. Already went over that. The B32 culvert replacement has begun. The road has been closed near Ocean. B32 will be out of seal from Fort Atkinson to Festina and from Festina to Ocean. B32 will likely occur in late July or early August.
How long does that culvert replacement take?
Should be done by next week. Engineer, there's 2 culverts there, so that's, I don't want to get the cart in front of the horse on it. So engineer has met with Decorah Incorporated on augmenting the county sealing of hard surface roads. Pole line is a major focus for Decorah service, with other roads being considered. We have a Durapatcher going out, and we just can't keep up with just that by itself. So
That when they replaced the pole line road 10 years ago or so, that's a big project that it took us 2 or 3 times of doing sections of it to even get it done. So as long as we can make it last, the better. So
Right.
That's why you want to seal it.
and then Decorah, just their equipment guys are faster than our guys because we have something that's kind of a jack of all trades instead of a. Yep. So it's one of those things. FEMA Cat A is being held up on the FEMA side due to staffing. We received our Cat C check. So it is in our balance. Bridge 327 superstructure has been repaired. We are close to finishing up the deck work and the surroundings. It's still closed. We'll open that as soon as the rock and the plank are put on. That should happen this week. Brennan's is mobilizing out. Bridge 60 on 138th Avenue will need some emergency attention this week. Undermining of the approach will be filled and secured with new riprap. More permanent action will take place later in the year to prevent future undermining.
Is that road?
That's right up by your
Yeah,
house.
cuts across from the, which one's 138? I'm not, is that the one that I actually drive on, or is that the next
Yeah.
one down? Okay.
Nope, it's the one you drive on.
Okay.
So. All 5 summer mowers passed screenings and will begin mowing and operating new mulcher beginning around Memorial Day. We're waiting for the grass to grow long enough to be mowed. New camera systems, that's the same as last week. Still waiting on vacation from the vendor to finish up. And then all of the projects, same as last week, Mike would have reported all this. Bridge 307 should be let in October of 2026. 208E construction should begin mid-July. We're still working on a pre-con meeting on that. And then Bridge 126 looking to be let in November or December. We're working with the DNR. And then Frankville Road letting will be shortly after 126. We're looking at closing Frankville Road next week for patching. So you might hear some information on that. So that is my report for the week.
28 or 208E bridge, roughly how long would you think that take? Weather permitting?
2-3 months, but I don't have that schedule. Don't quote me on that because I don't remember the timing on it exactly. So, but
After
yeah,
you have the pre-con meeting, you'll know a lot better.
I'll know a little bit more, and then I don't have that in my memory bank. I don't have the number of days in my head. So
No,
I'm just going off of how long I anticipate based off of other projects.
I stuck this road closure request under Michael's time too for Festina. If you wanna address that now, it's at the 4th of July
That's the
parade. And you board has to approve the temporary closure for that morning when they do their run or whatever it is that they go through there, and then Michael's staff will deliver them some barricades to put up or whatever.
I move to approve the road closure for Festinas.
We have a motion and a second for the Steiner Road closure. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Frankville. When will the work actually be done on that?
We're looking to let it in 2026, so probably end of the year, be similar to W14. Is what we're thinking. And we're still early on in the plan on that one.
Is that in place or are you gonna grind that? Or?
That's gonna be a cold in place recycle with 4 inches on top.
Okay.
So it's gonna be a real nice.
Full works, yeah.
Originally it had been hoped that they would put the rumble strips on the sides and expand the shoulder, but there's no money for that. So,
So one section of the W14 was just done just like this, which I can't remember
Yeah.
which one had
that's the southern
the
portion.
southern portion.
And this
because
will
it
be a
didn't have
little-
as much
The same
base.
thing as the south.
Yeah, except for it'll be more overlay. There could be 1 inch more,
Okay.
The
so
patching on Franco Road's a day, 2-day project.
I don't know the answer to that, but yes, it's on the order of days, not a whole week. So,
Thanks for doing that.
yes, speaking of that, I just, 2 weeks ago, the W14 core samples, when they're skin patching this Frankville, I think some of our guys can go fill those core samples in, and then I worked with staff on the river cutting the bank from the complaint. We're monitoring the situation. Nothing looks to be imminent in any way, shape, or form. Not nearly as like the bridge. So
With that fatal accident was on W14 over there, where that occurred, is there any additional signage or something up there for curves that might be appropriate?
I mean, I wouldn't look at that.
Let's see.
I mean, I don't feel the need for it, but it just, I mean, it was pretty high speed, just took off, and I mean, I don't know if it
Launched.
Yeah, I don't know.
Besides the fact you want to not look too reactionary that we, because then it looks like we did something wrong. If it doesn't need a sign, it doesn't need a sign.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been informed on anything that, I mean, until I'm directed to look at it, I haven't, but that, to get where they got, there's a lack of attention or a lot of speed, one or the other, and
Yeah, it's
So-
just a tragic.
Yeah.
Because I don't ever see anybody going that fast. I drive it all the time.
yeah, I'm going around those curves, I'm 35 or less, so.
Anyone have anything else? Mark?
Well, there's the bridge on Town Line, which would be south of first down past Nesty. As the approach going into it, there's a hole developing on the one side. I don't know if that's getting some undermining there or something. I just noticed it yesterday. This hole probably this big on the edge of it where the gravel is.
That by that closed road.
I
No, that's-
want to say that
that's
sounds,
Town Line.
familiar to me, but I have
Yeah,
not.
that's in town where the closed road goes across.
No, it's not.
Past-
It's past that. Yeah, so right just below Urox Farm.
Oh, okay, that one.
Yeah, there's that bridge
There's a
goes
second.
across right there.
Well, there's a culvert in the one and on the other.
Yeah, there's
The
a
next
culvert
one's a
there.
culvert.
But
First
it's,
one's a culvert, second.
I don't know if it might be getting undermined. Sometimes that creek will rises.
It'll start sucking out the
That
material.
could be.
Yeah. It sounds familiar. I don't, again, there was several things that happened last week, and I'll have to go and make sure that gets addressed. There's another one on New Ridge, so that I'm aware of. Anything else?
Looks like the manure trucks are getting pretty rough when it gets rainy.
Smells like Iowa.
Ooh, boy.
Thank you, Mike.
You got your road tour done then Friday?
My road tour.
Yeah, or went up by Borough there and checked them roads or?
I went up
That
there. Oh,
Thursday or
yeah,
Friday?
it did go up. Yeah, I did go up there on, I don't know what day it was.
Friday.
But the roads are rough. I mean, it's a little bit of frost maybe, and then it's just rainy and, you know,
They did get quite a bit of maintaining done after our moisture last week, or.
they did, but
I
again, it would have
noticed
been nice to
that
hit.
road, it was better than it
It would
was.
have been nice to hit Friday as well, but we're tense, so, it's kind of the nature of the beast, so they'll be working it. Some of those roads will be getting a little bit of rock,
Rock, yeah.
so hopefully that's better.
Yeah.
But
And in past years, when they've been on 410, they sometimes call people in overtime Friday if really bad and it rains Thursday. I mean, you, if you need to, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's running out, all over the place, but that's not really the
It's not quite
situation.
as bad yet.
This one is more potholes instead of rutting, so. Yeah,
That's usually later in the summer, like if we do 2-3 weeks, no rain, and then we get a rain on a Thursday, it's overtime.
yeah,
Because you gotta get out there eventually.
yeah, and I would be, open to that, but.
Yep.
Right now, it's
Yep, no,
keep the operations standard.
right.
Are they kind of marking the ones where they washes down towards the middle of the road instead of the edge? So when they do that, doing your,
I have the way we're putting our spot rock piles, I have them marked down where it is that we're doing it, trying to get some information on that, but
so then when you do that, pull your shoulder in is what I'm talking about.
That new machine.
The-
New machine, or they.
well, they should be pulling that shoulder in a lot more with that machine now, just as a general case, because we're trying to keep the rock that we have and keep throwing that stuff back in. So, I see how it works. It got a full week last week, I think, that machine. So it's gonna go.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, I think I need to go up and look at Ridgeway shop where it's been worked.
Might be good.
W14 north of Ridgeway,
Oh,
if you
yeah.
want to go look at that.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it might be good to tell them where they
Yeah,
can go
W14.
stealing.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if you want to go look at that area, that would be the spot to go check.
I know 245th south of me would be a good one to do it on too.
I mean, it's gonna go.
That one kind of ridges. They're
I
just
haven't-
along the side.
I haven't heard a blade operator that doesn't want this. Some of them are saying, "Oh, I don't really need it, but I'd still use it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I haven't heard of a blade operator not want this, so that makes me feel good about the
Don't you
purchase.
think that's gonna help us with our crown? Because right now we got the gutters and then we get the water buildup and it tears up those intersections.
So I'm hoping that this will keep the rock in and keep the
Keep the ground on the water
road
rolls
from
off,
growing.
it's soaking in, then you don't get.
Well, you'd be kind of like rotating it around, like each blade district will get it for 3 weeks or something and through the
Yeah.
summer until you
I'm letting
or whatever it works out.
foreman and superintendent
Just
kinda
work out who
figure
gets
out
the
who gets
next.
it. Yep,
Keep the road.
exactly. I know that
Draw
the operator
straws
who's
or-
doing W14 North, I mean, he was excited to get it, so he prepped the roads, and was a little bit like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm ready for the machine," so. Yeah,
Good to see.
yep.
That's a plus.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Mike. Next on the agenda, we have 2 miscellaneous items, first of which is some public hearing for the FY25 Budget Amendment.
Yep, I'm proposing to do this on Tuesday, May 27th, so it'd be the day after Labor Day, or Memorial Day, excuse me, Memorial Day at 9:30, if that works.
But that's okay.
I'd approve the public hearing for Tuesday after Memorial Day.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to set the public hearing for the FY25 Budget Amendment for Tuesday, May 27th at 9:30.
9:30, yep, we'll do it first thing, and it's a resolution.
Resolution, Mark,
Aye.
Shirley,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Steve. Aye, also.
I'll get you, the deadline to turn in was last Friday by the departments, and actually I had one that needed an extra day, so I'll email out a list of all the requests this week. And next Monday, if there's any of them you want me to get on the agenda, we can talk about whether they need to be in here later this month before the public hearing, and if there's any you have questions for. I think they're mostly pretty straightforward. What different ones need. I'm gonna be working with public health this afternoon because they have you did half of their budget, but right at this point, we just have it half of every line. And so I'm gonna meet with Krista this afternoon to reorganize that. So the total's the same, but get it split up the way she needs it rather than half of every line item.
Next up is the Employees Assistance Program Renewal Contract.
Yeah, so this is that program we provide, employee assistance program. And I can't remember the exact dollar amount, but it's really quite reasonably priced per employee. That we implemented last year, provide some counseling services and so on as needed by employees. So Winn is good at sending out reminders, you know, once a quarter or whatever, that it's available and people can use it. I haven't heard what I don't know if we have like a utilization rate, but it's very reasonably priced. Few bucks an employee a month is what it works out to be.
And Lynn's done a great job of getting out communications on it.
So it comes due here at the end of the year, so we'd like to renew that.
You need a motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I move to renew the Employee Assistance Program.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to renew the Employees Assistant Program. Any further discussion? None. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Carries unanimously.
Yeah.
Last item in the miscellaneous is a letter of support for Decorah's driving communities designation.
So Stephanie from contacted me to ask to have this on the agenda, and I forwarded it to you so you could review it ahead of time. I don't know any other thing other than what Stephanie provided, so that's why I brought you that information or sent you that information ahead of time. You aren't making any commitment or anything other than just submitting a letter of support.
I would move to approve the letter of support.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second for the letter of support for Decorah's driving communities designation. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
It'd be great if Decorah's awarded that. Be good for the whole county.
Housing,
Consent agenda.
On the consent, I have minutes, the VA monthly report and reporter's monthly report.
I'd move to approve the consent agenda.
second.
A motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Signatures.
You have any committee reports?
I've put the Northeast Iowa Community Action April dashboard over on the table for those that want to see the stats. It's always impressive to read through all the things they're doing for this community in this area. So kudos to Northeast Iowa Community Action.
Do you have any, I'm curious, did you have anyone come to the open house at the
Yeah.
building? Had some lookers?
I had one Wednesday, Thursday.
Mark had, when we split up the afternoon shift because it was pretty quiet. Mark had one, I have none.
One and none.
We had at least a couple people, a couple of lookers.
Yep. Building looks nice.
Steve, I picked up the plans and Steve left them out.
Yeah, I left in case somebody is wants an appointment. I left plans out there on the desk for this week.
Okay.
And we can always pick them up the end of the week.
When are the bids due again?
Friday.
I mean, we could probably even leave the plans there for whoever buys it, could have them then, yeah. Because we have them electronically if we ever needed them again.
And the good news is the state doesn't throw anything away. They have them over there next door.
That's,
That's where I got it.
yeah.
Give that one to Lori, that's out there.
Okay,
I still have it. I still have the key.
okay.
I got one.
Andy, are you online?
Guessing he'll come because then he'll just stay for the
That's what I was thinking.
Security Committee, but I don't know for sure.
Thanks to all of you that did the open house and cleaned that building out and did that work. It's a lot done.
Mark and John, I think, called.
We loaded, yeah, the last scrap load out last Tuesday, 15
Okay, and that's,
file cabinets and
Except
the
for
rest of
the,
the
About the only thing left in there are those big,
spinners and spinners.
and I might have a place for those.
Yeah,
they're nice.
They're nice, Dan. I'm sure that you can find a place for them, man.
did the
I was-
gentleman get the front?
No,
thing?
hardly they have them on Friday.
Talking at the shop about it, and one day said, I might be interested in those. I said, okay, we can make that happen. Yep.
It'll just be the fires or whatever, yeah,
That was,
get away, moving them.
Yeah, but take those, all the cubicle wall, Mark said. That's when we have space available over there, storage at community services. And right
Put it
now,
there on that rack.
Yeah.
That's a place where you probably use them ever.
that was.
I think there's
Quite
29
looked at.
2-footers.
It will be
I think
empty. I said, yes, those will be gone.
3-footer. I think there's 100,
I think that would be,
140
The
field.
thing I was getting is how shocked everybody is, how big that.
It's
building is.
huge.
Once you got all the
Sure.
walls out of there and everything cleaned up, it's unbelievable. Yeah, it's a big.
it's in nice shape.
place.
It really is in very good shape.
Great building. That back lot is amazing.
The amount of gravel parking area back there that's improved is tremendous.
Start a dance club out there.
Or you can put up a heck of a machine shed out there if you need it for storage.
Yeah, it's a nice location and a nice building. With the 5 acres, basically, it's.
Well, Ben, I think it would be nice if Mark could come in and do an update of what's gonna happen at the Misty Valley, what the plans are. Has anyone on this board seen a whole presentation of the future plans?
has she talked about it at a conservation meeting lately or?
She had plans laid out at the last conservation.
I think it'd be good for the public to be able to see what kind of plans, since we're beginning to do the road development and so forth up there, and there's been some questions from the community. I think it'd be wise to have her in here next week, because I think Michael's got the amendment. They would kind of tie together what Michael has on his
I'll check with her, but
5-year plan.
she can come in.
Get her, and see if she'd get here next week.
Hey, Andy. All yours.
Well, don't have a whole lot for you, sorry. We do have to get an agenda item for next week on public information board. How should we word that? Response to a complaint that was filed. So
Informal resolution.
we're recommending an informal resolution. And I'll visit with Dan after the meeting today. He was in the center of this bullseye, and then I'll get the rest of you brought up to speed before Monday.
Did you have a chance to look at any of those proposed P and Z changes?
I reviewed some of them. Can't say I spent a lot of time in the details, because I think, if I remember right, some of the changes, trickle down into other sections because they cross-reference and that type of thing. And I didn't get into that.
And we've got it on next week. It's the agenda, and I copied Jana too to,
Yeah, I think she's
Either-
planning on
Yeah.
being here.
Yeah.
And
and
that's,
she had something going on later in the day, so I think it's first thing on the agenda next week. Second thing, I think there was something for 5 minutes first, and then she was gonna be
and
second.
she's been the one who's been actively involved in that.
They're still working on some other sections like that ADU. Should we be holding this all to make the changes at one time?
Yeah, we talked about that, but part of the reason we were moving forward was because of the uncertainty at the state level with the ADU stuff. Because there was some legislation pending, and I don't know where that's at this point, so I just, my suggestion was get as much of it out of the way as you can at this point, because if that's implemented in stages or, gets tabled for another year, do you want to wait that long? I don't think so.
I think the
But some of,
gallery's having trouble hearing you, so.
oh, I'm sorry.
He's talking about some other potential zoning amendments and keeping them separated due to upcoming legislation. So the ones that were presented last week are just still moving forward. And if there's other ones that come in the future, they'll be separate. The accessory dwelling units was specifically brought up.
There's discussion of liquid hydrogen under Iowa in general. And there's been some articles out about that and some possible areas where that's going to be used for power generation as an alternative. And maybe even I think there's plans or a permit being processed somewhere else in Iowa to produce electricity from this subterranean hydrogen deposit that is apparently under a large portion of the state of Iowa. There's a current map out that shows where they think the concentrations are, and some of the concentrated areas are in Winneshiek County. I haven't looked at our zoning ordinances. I only saw it recently.
Is there currently something that covers that, or would that be something?
Well, I think, the question is it treated as a utility? I mean, if it is, then would it be same as Alliant or My Energy or, without knowing more about it, I don't know if it
I know
would.
Clemish is aware of it, so I may try to reach out to him and see what I can find out. That if that is a possibility, then I think we are in
And if it's treated differently, is it preempted by the state regulation, or is it something we should be considering for zoning or whatever?
Well, when you're talking different, you're talking the drilling,
Right.
obviously.
Is it mining or?
no, it's drilling.
You're talking the drilling, but then you're also talking the transportation pipeline or, however it's going to be moved. I think there might be different components to what
What's
would
included?
fit within what would require zoning amendment or fit the existing ordinance with providing some definitional structure, for example.
Another one that was brought up last week was there was something in zoning that someone was gonna talk to Tony Phillips, and whether that needed to be included in an amendment. What was it we were talking about?
I don't remember.
I don't know.
It wasn't the data center.
Data, yes, that's what it was. The data center. Exactly what it was. Yeah.
Looking at that, like if it depends on like with the hydrogen, I mean, just like fracking, there's these compressors running day and night, which create a lot of noise. So probably should look at the zoning of that where you can locate it if there's something similar to that that's happening.
And I don't know if it would be DNR necessarily, but if that's the case and you're punching a hole into the earthways, then there may be some state agencies that are going to be involved too.
Because you're 15,000 feet down.
Is that all?
How far?
I heard one number, 15,000 feet.
That's a
Mm-hmm.
For
good
the
sense.
money. And for the data center, I think there was some concerns at the state level about just if we need to have any regulations on that because of the demand on electricity and how many you can allow and for our power grids overwhelmed and that kind of thing. So you want to,
Demand is predicted to double in the next 10 years, so, for electricity, so that's why.
That's a big deal. And that's why if hydrogen is a viable power generation source, which it seems to be, it may be a very good alternative. Because it's a byproduct of water.
How is it going to be extracted? What is that?
That's a deep well.
They drill oil that way.
If you get something from Mike that you think would be useful for us to take a look at in the context of zoning, send it on.
I will.
All right. The other thing that we had discussed briefly, I think, before I left, was the ability to do some fundraising for existing litigation. I think that we can do that. We need to come up with a vehicle, and that if I get a little time, I'll talk to maybe our auditor, Hacker Nelson, on what they would see as viable alternatives. I mean, I don't think just putting that into the general fund is the option. We had talked about the endowment fund, see if that would be a possibility. The other thing I can do is talk to the attorneys involved and see if they'd accept direct payment from donors into the trust account. But if that exceeds what they're billing, we still need to come up with a mechanism to utilize the excess in a way that's appropriate.
Is that something we can just get information on and have on Monday's agenda?
Not
Andy, Andy's timing, yeah.
I'll try to get you some alternatives or what I see as alternatives, and then we can talk about the pros and cons. Anything else?
Have the law firms be contacted? Public here, not public or public?
What's that?
Knowledge, is it public knowledge? Which law firms were working?
It is.
It is, okay.
They filed appearances in the lawsuit. Their names are public realm.
Yeah, I saw on one of the news update that the extension had been filed for response time or something. So,
And I would anticipate by the end of the week that certain motions will be filed for certain kinds of relief. And as soon as those are ready to go or get filed, I'll send you copies of them and kind of outline what the purpose and scope of them are. So you can respond to questions that you might receive too.
the next portion of the agenda is going to be the closed session portion. If there's any other business that should happen during the open session, you should do that now, because then people don't have to try to come back after we open the session again. So, because then we'll just close the session and then adjourn after that. So just letting you know that if you have anything else you'll want to do during open session, you could even anticipate the motion to adjourn, but you will have to kick everyone out here in a couple of minutes. So, yeah.
Who's open to public comment now? No.
There really is no public comment on the agenda.
Okay, I don't know, so.
Got a minute.
Okay, so I was curious just because last week when we were here, we did discuss item 13, the proposed amendment to A2, and then we'd asked for the county attorney's opinion about that. I missed the first part of what you were saying. I couldn't hear you. Did you speak to that at all?
I did not.
Okay.
Other than the Jana, one of the assistant county attorneys, Jenna Olson will be next week. We're planning to be present during the continuation of the public hearing, so,
Okay,
there'll be public comment time and you can talk, you can get comments from her.
It is 10:30.
Motion to go into closed session.
Second. A motion and second to go into closed session. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye. And your purpose for going into closed session should be noted on the
Yep,
motion.
I'll note that in the minutes, it's to, under code section 21.5K, and it's to discuss security. Have a joint meeting with the Security Committee and Department of Homeland Security. So at this time, Fatima, you can end the regular meeting and then boot up the one so that our DHS person can attend virtually. And I'll work